Good morning, everyone. My name is Donna, and I'm an alcoholic, and I still don't feel very at peace saying Florida. I'm a Brooklynite. I don't know when I stopped saying, I live in Florida, but I'm really from Brooklyn. I don't think I'll ever not claim Brooklyn, but anyway, it's a pleasure to be here. My sobriety date is August 5th, 2000. My sponsor's name is Gwen, and she is my recent sponsor. I found her. I was working with a woman in the UK, and our lives, just the time zone. And she said, Donna, I want you to find a godly woman. And I know that there's some newcomers in AA, and you may have a problem with your concept of God. You may not have a problem with God. It might be just your concept. But after 23 years of being on the spiritual path, my concept of God is really not an issue because I realize the consciousness of God within. So I actually was in an AA meeting, and it felt uncomfortable at first because some of us are so reluctant to mention the word God, but in how it works, it says that we don't apologize for depending upon God. And I think that I apologize for depending upon God by not letting people know that I do depend on God. So I was guided to this woman. She's got 52 years. And not only did I get her as a sponsor, but I got a slew of women and men that are on a spiritual path. See, I've always been a seeker. Even when I was younger, I always knew that there was something missing. I had no idea that the solution was God. And this is after 13 years of Catholic school. This is after, I started drinking when I was 14, and the obsession to drink was lifted when I was 44. So that's a long time that I couldn't see the truth and the lie about alcohol. Towards the end of my drinking, I was not drinking for a sense of ease and comfort. I really didn't know what that even looked like. When I read page 18 of the big book, I see myself and their problems are piling up. And I don't know how to handle them. So what I want to do is I want to escape. I just don't want to think. I'm isolating because all my life I worried about what you thought about me, and who I was being was contingent on how you felt about me. And I knew that you didn't really understand me. So I started isolating. I lived in a very dark place. Even though alcohol and drugs disguise themselves like a party, I am a New Yorker. I graduated from high school in 1974, so I am going to date myself. But during around that time, there was so much going on in the world. There were women's rights. There was the pill. There was underground clubs. I was in the middle of it all and loved it. I was just reading Bill's story. I was at Arisa B's workshop, and Bill was he studied law, but that was too buttoned up for him. And that was like my life. I needed to do things that were full of chaos and confusion. That was my life. I loved it. I loved after hour clubs because I felt like I was part of a life that nobody understood. I didn't understand that I had been in the grips, that I couldn't stop drinking and drugging even if I wanted to because of the mental obsession. I didn't know any of that. I just kept saying next time it was going to be different. Next time it was going to be different. I'm not going to drink. But then if somebody calls me up, I go back out again. And so by the time August 5th rolled around, I had nothing left to try. There was enough space for grace because I was not trying to think my way out of another jam. See, 10 years prior to August 5th, 2000, I felt the same disappointment inwardly and externally. But when I still thought I can think, the best thought that I can come up with was suicide. So I drank a big bottle of cough medicine because I didn't want to wake up. 10 years from wanting to commit suicide, 10 years, I still think that I'm in control. So I start doing some stuff. I do some stuff like I'm making a geographic move. I moved from New York City to South Bend, Indiana. But what did I find in South Bend, Indiana? More alcoholics and more addicts. Gradually, things got worse, and maybe that's what it has to do for us. See, I didn't come into Alcoholics Anonymous. I didn't make a decision to say, well, I want to stop drinking because my life is a mess. I made myself fit into the mess. I lived in the world of at least. As long as I had a little bit of money, I was fine. I have a mattress on the floor, I'm fine. I'm living at home with mom, I'm fine. I got a roof over my head. It started to get a little uncomfortable with me when she took the key away. That was drawing the line. And I was so angry at my mom. I couldn't see how this woman was so concerned about me coming in and out. See, I was going on sprees 3-4 days, and towards the end, it wasn't a sense of ease and comfort, because when you live in Queens and you're hanging up in Harlem and you only have $20 in your pocket to start with, trust me, I was not going out for ease and comfort. It was going to be a whole lot of chaos and confusion. Someone said that God can hold his breath for a very long time as he waits for us to want and need God enough. What happened to me is the same way Bill described it. He said that God came. I forgot how Bill describes it, but he said that he needed God and God came. But it was soon blotted out. The consciousness of God was blotted out. And the same thing with me. August 5th, 2000 was a miracle. I knew that it was powerful, because I knew something happened in and through me that I had never felt before, and I knew that I never had to drink again. I didn't know it was a miracle. See, my mind likes to hide things that are spiritual in nature. It doesn't want me to focus on it. It wants me to hold on to a disbelief in my Creator. What happened to me on August 5th, 2000 was the beginning of my journey. I was led. I am so grateful for people in Alcoholics Anonymous who sat in Alcoholics Anonymous and was not in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, because once they discovered the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, I realized that I didn't have to do what they did, sit in Alcoholics Anonymous. I was able to pick up these spiritual tools that was laid at my feet. That's why it's so important we share what we were like, what happened, and what we're like today. This is more than just knowledge and theory. The thing that I have in the beginning of my book, bear with me. I will remain alert for some original revelation of truth. See, we say the set-aside prayer, God, please enable me to see the truth, not what's true. Because what I think is true, trust me, has nothing to do with you. I come up with my own belief system. I get to see the selfishness and self-centeredness in my behavior, and I was so asleep. See, I also thought that it was about finding ease and comfort. But see, if I keep looking for things to give me ease and comfort, that becomes the problem, because those things become my God. Because when those things stop working, I'm right back where I am. I am. I had a deep first step experience. See, my first step experience had to be real deep, because I had to get to a point that I could say to myself, of my own, I am nothing. I can't get past where I'm at. I was also able to see, thank God for the big books of Alcoholics Anonymous, because how come my mind never let me see the truth about my drinking? Why didn't my mind, when I was drinking that cough medicine, say, Donna, that's not a good idea? So I realized that my mind does not protect me. So why will I want to rely on my mind when I'm offered a solution? Why is that such a dilemma? Rely on my mind, that all it tells me is that I'm not good enough, that this is too hard, this is impossible. Or look at the people who are doing the deal and saying, wait a minute, these people are living a life totally different from the one I'm living. Why don't I give myself an opportunity to find out what that's like? See, because it's so easy for me to sit in mediocrity, in less than, because that comes comfortable for me. It's how I always lived my life. I settled. I always had boyfriends that had potential. I didn't think that a guy would want to be with me that had his act together because I didn't feel good about myself. So I did everything small. And so I come into Alcoholics Anonymous and it's like, Donna, be willing to believe that there is a life that is beyond your wildest dreams. And I want to hesitate. I don't know. But what's the alternative? I don't know about you, but I truly believe that God saved me from me so I can be of service. It's amazing the transformation that we come in here so hopeless. And something happens in and through us, in spite of us, and all of a sudden we're on the firing line helping people. There are more people in this meeting who has touched my life and I've touched theirs, and I am grateful. I don't know how you found me, and I don't know how I found you, but there's some of you that I'm taking through the work. How did we find each other? I had 50 cents in my pocket on August 5th, 2000, smelling, looking terrible. See, the amazing thing is that as my relationship with my Creator deepens, I'm able to see life from a different perspective. See, I used to always start my story as I was walking down the block on August 5th. I mean, it was so hot. I felt so terrible. Very recently, the vision came that it didn't start when I was walking down the block. See, I didn't have money to get on the subway. I didn't have money to get on the bus. It was the kindness of the token booth clerk. It was the kindness of the bus driver. Damn, did that hit me, and I cried. I was reading Bill's story the other day, the kindness of his brother-in-law and the kindness of his mother. So I get to see God showing up in you for me. And so am I willing to go to any length so that I have a perspective about life that means something? That I'm willing to see the truth and the lie and who I am not, because I have not given people permission to treat me the way they've treated me growing up. My mom was very critical of me. She didn't ask permission if she can treat me like that. So I come to Alcoholics Anonymous and I give myself permission to find out my truth. And the beautiful thing about this, and I have never done a fifth step where people come out of it feeling like crap. We come out of it feeling humbled by our limitations as a human being. This process is set up so lovingly that even on Zoom, I'm doing a fifth step and I'm giving people space while they're having an experience because they're seeing things from their heart, not from their mind. And then we look and we say, damn, this is the best that I can do. I remember I was sitting I went to a therapeutic community before coming to AA. I wasn't mandated, and it wasn't a 12-step joint. It was, you go there to beat a bid. So there was a lot of drug dealers up in there and people that were mandated. And the backyard was about as big as a postage stamp on the Upper West Side. I'm sitting there in the afternoon and there's rats crawling around. And for the first time, I remember saying to myself, look what I did to me. This was the best that I can do. I remember I took ownership for my life. This was the best that I can do. And I had aspirations. I had moral and philosophical convictions galore. I just couldn't pull it off. My human resources failed. My best efforts, my stick-to-itiveness. Because of this obsession to alcohol and the physical allergy, success was always going to elude me. But I tried. I would go to work with no sleep. I had to stop at the drugstore and get some no-dos so that I can stay awake. And I would have to say the alphabet out loud because my hand and my mind, there was such a disconnect that I had to say the alphabet out loud for my hands to hit the right key. That was difficult. So when my mind wants to lie to me and tell me that life is so terrible, no, that was terrible. When my mind wants to say this is going to be too hard, no, that was hard living. I like when we get an opportunity to let people see our hiney in step 5. For the first time, I'm allowing you to see all of me. And I can do it in a way that I can do it in trust because a person has walked this path with me. And they're letting me see that they're like me. We become uniquely qualified to help a segment of the population nobody else understands. What an honor that is. And then we get to step 6, and God says lovingly, let me take that from you. I've been using this example. It's like an old lady, an old man walking down the block with some heavy bags, and we say to that person, let me take that from you. That's what God says. Let me take that load from you. And then because we got such ego, no, I'm okay. I got this. So there's some things I still think that I can manage. And the things that I don't bring to God are the things that become a problem. And to see if I'm not bringing the problem to God, trust me, the solution's not God. I had an experience. A lot of you know that I had my hip replaced. I was not bringing all of me to God. And I say every day, and I got this from Gwen, God, I'm willing to die to self today so that you can live life in and through me. Because step 7, my perception of what I think is bad, my perception, what I think is good, I just give God all of me because now God can love in and through me. I don't think that on my own I know love. Love for me is always transactional. Love is because I need something from you. Love is because I need you to make me feel okay. I need you to make me feel needed. I need. But see, when I have a deep relationship with God, I have all that I have. So I don't know how to love. I know my time is up. I got 5 minutes. They talk about this new life in the big book. New. I don't know how to be in the new. I love steps 10 and 11 because this is like spiritual kindergarten. It's amazing that I can pick up any spiritual book now and I see the 12 steps in them. It's amazing. I also know that this passage gets very narrow. Not everybody is seeking to die to self. Some people just want to stop drinking just to feel better. See, I tried that. And I was of the world again, power, money, and prestige. I thought I was like a normal person. See, we learn how to live as an alcoholic, not just learn how to live. And all of a sudden, the word self jumped in front of every other word, self-centered, self-seeking. It became self. And I started living my life that way. That was 7 years in the program. I let up on my spiritual. All of a sudden, I didn't have time to do morning prayer. And I got nervous and I got scared because I realized where I was heading. Because if I stay there too long, I'll start thinking that I can manage my life. And what happens when the thought of a drink comes and I have no mental defense. See, I know that as long as I do God's will, he will protect me from a drink. I know this is a beginner's meeting. There seem to be only 2 people on there, but sometimes you can be in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous and still be a beginner if you haven't done any work. This is not about me managing better. So I'm in step 1 again. I didn't think I'd be in step 1 again. I remember Rashid used to tell me, Donna, it never gets greater than 1. And I never understood what he meant by that until I knew what he meant by that. There isn't any problem that should get past step 1. If there's anything that I have to think about, anything that I have to ponder on, anything that I'm trying to figure out, I rest in that. Or rather, I relax in God. So I pause, power in the pause. Because if I don't pause, all of a sudden I'm going to start thinking I can think, and I'm going to start trying. The only thing I need to try to do is what it says in the 12th step, is to work with another alcoholic and practice principles. That's all I need to try to do. All that other stuff, I leave it for God. So I pause, I turn, I pray, and I relax in God. So those are the 4 things I do. I'm very conscious of the realization of God within. I don't walk around with my hands like this, but there's a knowing. Did it start out as a knowing? No. I just had a lot of willingness, a lot of open-mindedness, a lot of honesty, and a lot of humility to continue to die to self. And with that willingness, that open-mindedness, that humility and honesty, God kept sending me teachers. Because as a sponsor, we have one responsibility, I think, this is just for me, is to lead you to the God of your understanding and teach you how to teach so you can do it with someone else. We want you to have more than knowledge and theory. We want you to have your own spiritual experience. So I want to thank you, and I'm going to leave you with this, and this is what was shared with me very recently with a man that I had met years ago. We were finishing a phone conversation, and he said, "Donna, I will see you in the next now." Thank you.